This is African Folktales and More, a home of beautiful, African stories. Long time ago, in the small village of Oku lived a man named Kalu. Kalu was a very good man and a farmer. He was beloved by all. One day Kalu traveled to a neighboring village to trade his farm produce. There he saw a very beautiful girl. The girl had come to the market with her mother. Her beauty shone like the morning sun, her skin glittered like the moonlight. Kalu asked questions and was told that the girl's name was Beauty, the daughter of the greatest hunter in the village. Kalu knew without a doubt that he had found his wife. He traced her to her father's house in order to make his intentions known. Kalu stood at the edge of the clearing, letting the orange glow of the setting sun illuminate his face. His hands tightened around a small leather pouch, nearly his whole wealth, filled with cowries and tokens to pay for Beauty's dowry. His pulse was a mixture of nervous anticipation and deep affection. Beauty was not just a woman to him, she was the future, a future filled with children, peace, and happiness in a world often marked by scarcity. Beauty, for her part, remained oblivious to the rich promises and doubts battling in his mind. Inside her father's hut, she knelt on a mat made of woven rush, grinding peppers for the evening meal. The rich smell filled the small space, a literal embodiment of her hard-working, simple soul. To the people of Oku, marriage wasn't a romance but a transaction, a lifelong bond sealed by a large dowry, and many viewed it as a woman's worth. But for Kalu, it meant honoring Beauty in a way the world understood. He pressed the pouch into her father's hands in the dimly lit hut, adding a pile of cloth, pots, and a small herd of goats. The marriage was settled, a rich price for a rich woman, and the villagers nodded in approval. Beauty remained silent, her face hidden by her wrapper, letting her future be decided by those who cared for her. Beauty didn't go immediately with Kalu, because she wasn't quite old enough to become a wife, and there were things that needed to be done before she is considered ready to become a wife. When Beauty became of age, she entered the fattening house, a small, dimly lit hut constructed at the back of her father's compound. Inside, young brides were kept and fed rich foods, yams, plantains, and heavy stews, to prepare them for marriage. There were traditions about softness and roundness. A woman should appear well-fed and desirable by the time she crossed into her marriage home. This tradition was what every young woman who was about to enter her husband's house or was old enough to be married did. It was considered shameful if any family failed to do this for their young girl. Beauty pressed her back against the wooden wall and listened to the rhythmic songs of the women outside, a chorus of marriage, promises, and future children. Inside, the silence seemed oppressive, filled with her doubts and anxieties. She turned her face toward a small window, letting the slanted rays illuminate her skin, thinking about the man who was soon to be her husband. Did he care for her, or was she just a price? Meanwhile, in Oku, Kalu made preparations for when his wife would eventually come home, adding a small chamber to his hut, buying furniture, making sure everything was perfect. Kalu was so excited, he couldn't wait to have his love in his home and his life. He did everything to make sure that she would be comfortable when she eventually arrives. Years passed, and the day came when Beauty was ready to leave her father's home. Her face was round and smooth from rich food, her hands were soft, and used to hard labor. As her marriage procession was prepared, her father noticed a young slave woman, nearly Beauty's age, for sale in the market. He struck a deal immediately and handed her over to Beauty as a handmaiden, thinking it a fitting wedding gift. He wanted his daughter to go into her husband's house with dignity and respect that she deserves. Beauty nodded quietly, unsure of this new person in her service. The slave fell into step beside her, a small, hunched silhouette against Beauty's taller form. Whatever future lay in wait for them. The two were bound together now, their fates intertwined by the rich transactions of marriage. Meanwhile, Beauty's little sister insisted on going with them. She had always been close to Beauty, and could not bear to be apart from her. She kept tugging at her father's wrapper and crying until he relented and agreed for her to join her sister in her journey to her husband's house. The tiny girl hopped forward, eager and mischievous, adding a spark of life to their solemn journey. The road to Oku was a day's march, a path that crossed forests and hills, rivers and clearings. As the sisters walked alongside the slave woman, the weight of their future pressed upon them, the marriage, the change of home, the new life and people. As the afternoon cooled, the little group came upon a river, a deep hole filled with pure water, where villagers drew water but were prohibited from entering it. It was believed that there was a spirit guarding the river, and anyone who went inside is lost. The slave woman glanced back to be sure no one was nearby and whispered, "Let's wash ourselves here. The water will make you fresh and pure for your marriage." Beauty nodded. Trusting, not understanding the danger beneath the water's surface, the little sister remained on the bank, holding their clothes and a small bundle. As Beauty dipped her feet into the water, then her knees, then her torso, the slave pressed forward and suddenly pushed, a force so strong and decisive that Beauty fell forward with a piercing gasp, and then she was gone, swallowed by the water in an instant. The little sister tried to rush forward, but the slave pressed a hand over her mouth. "Speak of this to no one, or you will suffer the same fate." Fear closed its icy grip on the little girl's heart. As the slave and the little sister walked into Oku, villagers nodded and made way for them. Initially people did not know who they were or what they had come to do. The slave kept her chin up, wearing the rich wrapper, letting everyone believe she was Kalu's wife, the one for whom the large dowry had been paid. Kalu rushed forward, eager to see his wife. His first view made him falter. He was confused. This woman seemed hard and strange, not the soft, rich woman he'd hoped for, but marriage was a transaction, not a love match. His doubts remained hidden beneath a courteous mask. The villagers were surprised and they whispered amongst themselves, "This is the woman for whom you paid a king's ransom?" There were murmurs and shaking heads. Something seemed off. Meanwhile, the little sister remained silent, her hands knotted in her wrapper, fear battling against the truth that tried to rise in her. Once the marriage ceremonies were finished, the slave turned from a submissive wife into a cruel ruler within the household. She forced the little sister to carry the largest water pots to the spring, a task meant for a grown woman. She pressed a burning stick against the little girl's hands, face, and limbs when she disobeyed, marking her in painful welts. When Kalu got angry at the way she treated the girl, the slave insisted the little girl was a slave herself, not a relation, and as such she had every right to treat her as she deems fit, a convenient lie that kept everyone from investigating further. Kalu remained oblivious, busy with his fields and businesses. He saw the little sister's suffering as a normal discipline of a young slave. His marriage seemed barren and oppressive, not filled with the softness and happiness he had imagined and waited for. His nights were restless, something seemed wrong in his own home. Meanwhile, the little sister, weak and injured, cried quietly under her mat, wondering if her real sister was gone forever. The little sister's suffering grew, and her hands were raw from lifting heavy pots. Sometimes, when all were gone, she would stagger back to the river, crying, "Beauty! Beauty! Where are you?" The water spirit beneath the river listened, and Beauty's voice, pure and strong, answered in the rippling water. Beauty's heart broke at the agony in her sister's voice. She begged the water spirit to let her help her sister, and it agreed, allowing her a brief return to the surface. Rising from the water, her skin glimmered in the light, pure and rich in color, a dramatic contrast to her little sister's injured form. The two fell into a deep embrace, ignoring for a moment the danger all around them. Beauty pressed her forehead against her sister's. "Have patience. Your day of freedom will come. The water spirit will release me soon." The little sister nodded, hope blooming in her soul. Beauty, after filling her water pot, disappeared back into the hole. A hunter from the town, hidden in the bush near the river, witnessed the scene in disbelief. His hands trembled against his spear. This woman, this shimmering, rich-skinned woman, was the true Beauty. His disbelief turned into a resolve. He rushed back to the village. He couldn't wait to say all he had seen. Immediately he got to the village. He demanded an audience with Kalu. "It is the slave you married, but your true wife is alive, kept by the water spirit beneath the river." Kalu listened quietly, disbelief battling hope in his mind. Could this be true? Could the marriage be a fraud? It all sounded unbelievable, but Kalu knew that the hunter had no need to lie about what he saw. Besides, if it were true, it would explain all the confusion of why his wife seemed to be a different person from the one he had paid her dowry. Determined to redeem himself and find Beauty, Kalu consulted the old woman, a priestess, who made sacrifices to the water spirit. She demanded a pure white ram, a white chicken, a piece of white cloth, a white goat, and a basket of eggs. On the day of the sacrifice, the villagers assembled near the spring to witness the offering. The old woman pressed her knife against the ram's neck and let its blood flow into the water. She struck the chicken, then the goat, letting their lives seep into the pool. The cloth and the eggs followed. The water glowed briefly, a purple-black light, then fell silent. The following morning, when the old woman walked to the hole, she found Beauty sitting on its bank, unharmed, pure, and unhindered. She fell to her knees in thanks and rushed back to tell Kalu. Kalu rushed to the old woman's hut and fell into Beauty's arms. His doubts fell away. Here was the woman for whom he'd crossed years and made immense sacrifices. Beauty demanded the little sister be brought immediately, and the two were reunited in a rush of tears and love. Meanwhile, the slave tried to pursue the little sister in a rage, intending harm, but when she followed the trail to the hut, Beauty was waiting. Rising to her feet, taller, more majestic, Beauty confronted her. "Your time has come. Your wickedness will be made plain." As the villagers fell upon the slave to bring her to justice, peace fell over the household. The little sister's wounds were treated, the marriage made whole, and the marriage bond, forged through trial, blossomed into a deep, rich love. The villagers nodded in approval. The water spirit had gotten its due, the wicked had fallen, and the true wife had come home.